Hello everyone, just a little update here. Not so much about my the modelling side of things. Although I am coming towards the end of the Governor General's Palace in Khartoum. That's just requiring a bit of weathering, and I'm going to be doing some some base work on it, like some extra palm trees and just finishing up as you do. Now I've just popped out here in North London to get a few groceries, and it's a little bit busier on the road. Certainly the store that I went into, Sainsbury's, that was operating the policy of allowing 20 or so people in at a time, so that the whole store felt very quiet once you got in there. You were never too crushed up against anyone else. I wore a mask a bit self-consciously, but I was going to just talk about the effect that this all had on us. I noticed one or two people, Gav in particular, was actually commenting earlier on about the kind of the mental health aspect of this. I mean, those of us like myself who have had mental health problems in the past, and that sounds, I never quite used to that phrase, mental health. It does sound, it's got all sorts of connotations. In effect, it means anxiety, depression. A few of you out there may say, oh, well, pull yourself together. We're all in the same boat and everything. But for a long time, I have had deep-seated anxiety about my family, children in particular, and myself. In respect of worry, just what terrible worrier, and the hobby has actually been a great relief to me, particularly during these times. As I said in an earlier video, it's being able to turn to the hobby, to turn to the history books, and to just basically be doing something, whether it's making a model from scratch or painting figures. These are all things that release the pressure a little bit. But if I thought I had worries before, these last couple of weeks have been a wake-up call to me. I mean, I suppose if it was all fixed tomorrow, I would probably gradually, I'm sorry to say, return to my old ways of being anxious or depressed in many respects. I haven't got an awful lot to be depressed about. Financial worries like everybody, worries about your children, how they're going to get on. But for the most part, it's the cogs in the old brain box that create a lot of anxiety, and can cause you to despair. But there's people worse off me, I fully acknowledge. And you look at Italy and Spain, New York now, and these poor devils are really knowing about it, and hopefully we won't be so bad, but who knows. But this time, when you've got all these problems, I mean, it's like living an episode of The Twilight Zone. It really is. I mean, this is all extraordinary. If you went back a month, I mean, I was looking at some of the videos I did a month ago, and we didn't know what was coming, and it wouldn't be possible to know what was coming. I mean, I've seen films like we all have, good, bad, and indifferent films about viruses and water supplies in little American towns being infected and the residents going crazy and clearing shelves of supplies, and it's the stuff of nightmares, really, when you listen to the news. And it's not advisable, in my opinion, to binge watch the news. It doesn't do you any good at all. But when you look at what's going on around, it brings everything, whatever anxiety and depression you might have had before, it brings it times 10. You suddenly think, well, blimey, whatever happened before, you could always pop round the corner to the cafe, you could go for a walk up the road, you had your shows to look forward to, Salute, XL, Selwig, whatever, and you're free to do whatever you wanted. This is, as I say, the TV horror story come true. And you know, it does add to all your anxieties. You do fear to go certain places, you do fear to mix with people. And we had a fridge delivered this morning. The guy, quite rightly, he can only leave it at the door. And you know, it does. I mean, I many years ago when I was a child, I probably would have dreamed of a time when they told me to stay at home. But in truth, you know, it's not so much staying at home, it's just the anxiety, the fear of what's around the corner. And I think that's what we've all got to put into perspective, and we've all got to I think help each other with these videos. I mean, even if you're not quite sure what to say, just put a video up there and show us somewhat of your hobby and what you're doing. And you know, it's not the most important thing in the world, we know that. Getting the correct detail for a British Army uniform of 1803, or finding what a Greek, you know, soldier of I don't know, 320 BC would be wearing. But it doesn't half take your mind off it. And that's what it's all about. It's really trying to absorb yourself with the hobby at this time. It's always been about that, in my opinion. It's been a great deal about that. You know, taking your mind off of things, and it's been a great therapy. But now more than ever, I think we have to actually look to the hobby and the people in the hobby, like yourselves, and exchange ideas and videos, and get by this as a community. I mean, it is very much a community on here. I've been heartened by the videos that have been going up, and you know, I certainly couldn't do without you guys. I mean, I really regard you as friends, and you know, it's very difficult to imagine life without this YouTube community now. I've not meant to concentrate on the negative, but just to say, you know, I'm certainly like a lot of people out there, particularly vulnerable to I think, should we mildly put it, the blues. And you know, it's terrific to be able to broadcast and at the same time receive videos, and it means an awful lot. You know, whether it's Gary's World of Wargaming, Fraser, Gav, you know, all of you out there. Sorry if I haven't mentioned any of you. It's only because those names were the first ones I was familiar with, and it's stuck in my mind. And you know, you're all actually very, very good at putting out stuff there that is quite helpful, not just within the hobby, but just for peace of mind. And you know, this is my particular part of North London here, and I don't know if I can how can I? No, I there's not much to see really. It's all fairly quiet. Few cars on the road, the odd pedestrian, but mainly the cars are a bit bigger, a bit busier. And you know, they're actually obviously going to or from somewhere, whether it's to get food or to visit relatives. But yeah, it's not as quiet as it has been. But then I suppose, you know, there's bound to be a bit of an explosion at the weekend of people doing things that they couldn't otherwise necessarily do. So yeah, so from my own little part of North London, which is actually near Barnet. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. Certainly any of you overseas in America, for example, won't be. But Barnet, North London, about 8 miles outside of the city. And yeah, I'm going to go back now and try and pick up a few things to do in the house, and that'll be my final outing for the weekend. I think we've got everything we need, and you know, it's yeah, tough times. But as I said, I think I said in a previous video, not just like a graph that they show you on one of the TV programs, which is showing the illness go up, but also looking at it like a hill. We're clearly still going up the steep slope, and it's probably going to get considerably tougher before we reach the top of the hill. But I'm entirely hopeful and confident, really. Can I be both hopeful and confident? one or the other. I'm entirely confident that you know, for the most part, and unfortunately it does look like there's going to be casualties, but you know, I think we're going to see this one through, as we have so many storms before in our nation's history. As I say, thanks again for all your input and comments, and you know, really do appreciate your support. And I hope this has not been too gloomy post, but I thought while I was out, I thought I would just take the time to actually you know, speak to some of you, and from the heart, and tell you I do appreciate your work, and you know, my own humble efforts as they are. I hope you get some interest out of them, even if it's just playing in the background while you're doing your own work. But yeah, onwards and upwards. I guess, like Churchill said, we'll keep buggering on. Anyway, all the best to you all, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.